Is it my angle and everything okay? Should I try? I'm trying to adjust it so I'm more in the middle.
You're great. We're live. So good morning, everybody. I'm proud to be here with Principal Mary Beth Cunat, and from Spectrum School, where my oldest son is just finished attending preschool. One of the things that I think is so cool about Spectrum is they have this whole child focus that completely fits with our holistic minded or lifestyle. You know, just a couple of things that I thought were so cool about this last year and this upcoming year is, along with the other preschool curriculum, he started coming home with the ability and the training to, plan his day, make lists, just shifting such the mind of being a really functional person. And for me, although I'm sitting here on, online with you guys today, my biggest fear all the way through 25 years old was public speaking. Used to turn purple, severe fear, and Spectrum, one of the other cool things, they build public speaking in, starting in kindergarten. So it really is this whole idea of helping the child be the best version of themselves. So we're going to go through and tell you just a little bit more, but I think it's best to hear from, the people that are most passionate about it. So Principal, would you just tell us a little bit more about Spectrum and its purpose and, why you love it so much?
Well, you got 7 hours. So I would say Spectrum was founded by nuns over 50 years ago because they wanted to give children a different kind of experience of school, where their voice and their creativity, their imagination, their curiosity, their need to play is so core to learning. Having fun is absolutely core to learning. Being able to be physical and move is core to learning. And so they saw that. They had this vision for doing school differently, a school that was really centered around who children are and what children need and how children experience the world. And that's who they are emotionally, who they are academically, of course, but also who they are physically, who they are even spiritually, in a sense of connection, and a sense that they really, really matter. And if children are going to have a voice and have courage to put themselves out in the world, they need to be given many opportunities to experience that throughout the day with their teachers, with each other, with their families, with community. Community is such an important part of developing the whole child, and giving space to children. I would say one of the things I've been talking about this last couple weeks is this idea that children should never be shamed. If there's a misbehavior or a misunderstanding or a moment of selfishness or egocentricity, children should be taught to come back into community with joy and laughter and not shamed. They should be taught to understand those feelings when they want it to just for themselves, right? Like, let's talk about how that impacts me, how that impacts others, how that impacts our classroom culture. I just think that there's space for children to really develop at that level as well, which I find incredibly unique. That sense of restorative justice, restorative practices to restore children to community. And then that element of being truly deeply connected with nature and the environment. Yeah. So those are pieces of our curriculum that are so important, because we know if children are interacting with plants and animals and nature and understanding that they feel that sense of place and that sense of self, and their sense of connection is vital. I mean, we're trying to make the planet better. We're not just trying to bring out the best in our children. We're trying to bring out the best in our communities and the best for our whole earth.
Certainly. And well, certainly this is a stressful time in America. And, when we did school tours, I would say, like, the sales point wasn't anything that a teacher or that you said. It was actually that all the way through the grade school, the excitement for learning was contagious, having those hours for creativity time and development. And so, one of the things you have in preschool is you have nature preschool, where they get the preschool curriculum, but also learn to have that curiosity and drive for learning. And I guess, why do you feel that's so much more effective, or how do you feel like as a culture you cultivate that, like, want to learn in so many of your students?
So one of my early experiences as a Spectrum principal was with preschool, when Tricia, one of the preschool teachers, explained to me that the kids had found like 30 different kinds of mushrooms out in the woods and the prayer. And I'm like, and what it became a passion for them to be the one to find a mushroom that hadn't been found yet. But they didn't just find mushrooms, they were finding different kinds. And they were observing and noticing and taking pictures and photographing. Taking pictures and photographing is the same, but they were so excited about the discovery. The human brain wants to learn, it wants to discover. The problem with education systems is we start to shut curiosity down pretty early in children's experience because we give them what they have to know and we tell them how they have to know it and when they have to know it by. And the shutdown of curiosity is probably one of the worst diseases in our educational system. And I think what we're doing is saying this is a natural part of what it means to be human. And instead of shutting it down, we look for ways to open it up and keep it going and wonder out loud with children and love the experience of finding new things with children. There's nothing more exciting than watching a child's face when they make a connection themselves. They go, oh, wow, or aha. Teachers call those aha moments. Teachers live for aha moments. At least good teachers do. And I think that the beautiful thing about Spectrum is being very intentional about our time with children, about our planning, what we're doing so that we are opening curiosity up, opening up spaces for children to ask the questions and make those connections. And we're not driving the questions. We're really trusting children to drive those questions and to be who they really are and allow them to be who they really are. So we find that because it's real. It's not something we're imposing on them. It's something that they're getting to experience, and they feel connected to it because they're the one that asked the question.
Right.
It's really, really cool.
Well, as you know, and as we talked about, my personal and our clinic belief at Chiropractic First is this whole idea of holistic living, really living the way that you were designed to or created to. If you have a problem, getting to the root cause of the problem. And I sent you an email and asked about holistic, and you said, well, I think holistic means whole child. And then you went on this whole, can you describe how, obviously you're not treating a condition, but you're treating a whole child. What's the beauty or the thought when you say we have this filter of a whole child philosophy?
Right. I would say it starts with us understanding and really knowing who each individual child is as a human being, not just a student. And that means we're going to understand if this child is really, really turned on by art or by music or by science or by rockets or by Play-Doh or by getting their hands dirty, really understanding who this child is as an individual learner and creating many opportunities for students to learn in different ways. Like we know that there are strengths inside every person that gives them a chance to learn with more fluidity, more passion, more relevance to them. So understanding who our learners are as intellectual and social emotional beings and finding ways to help them experience the learning that we want them to do, because we obviously don't want children to be ignorant. We don't want them to think the moon is a planet. We don't want them to, create facts, right? We want them to be scientists and inquirers and know these methods and processes. But how teachers plan that experience of learning so that you can leverage students' strengths and passions and curiosities and preferences, and also keep ways of keeping them open to learning and other things, other ways, because there's some risk taking involved in learning because something is changing inside you when you learn something. Right. We also are very intentional. Like we do yoga, we do breathing, we do restorative practices when there's a problem with a conflict in the classroom that addresses both the social, emotional, and the kind of the interactive dynamic with children. So it's not solely about rules and consequencing kids, which a lot of districts do and a lot of schools do. It's understanding that we're human beings, not just individually, we're human beings in systems. And these systems have their own life and dynamic and process, and helping child feel like, where do I belong? What is my place? And recognizing that they matter and how they learn matters. So I think, this being able to do yoga with children, teaching them management strategies when they're in distress, teaching them the value of having a growth mindset, of not always being right, right? Teaching them that it's okay to take risks and it's even okay to be afraid, and how to manage that. So I think all of those strategies get at who the person is as opposed to who the student is.
Sure. Now, if somebody did, just based on everything you said, if somebody did want to check out Spectrum, how would they do that right now?
So in this moment, we do have virtual tours that we're able to provide via the website. So if you go to our website, www.spectrumschool.org, you can set up a virtual tour. As things open up with phase 4, we expect that we'll be able to show people a little more, but we are having to reorganize our entire physical space so we'll be able to spread kids out in the fall. So it's, nobody exactly knows how everything's going to be. Everyone has a sense of what we need to do to address what we're in the health crisis right now with COVID-19. But, we're open to talking with people who are interested in what we're doing. We want families who do believe in educating the whole child. We want families who are going to be in this process with us, with their child, and who are going to really recognize that we're doing something unique and different. And we've been doing it for over 50 years, and it's really, really wonderful.
Right. That's fantastic. And, when we first talked about this maybe a month ago, that was what we recognized is that, the current health, crisis that we're in is hard on not just small business, but it's hard on schools, it's hard on churches. And so we wanted to help, with fundraising. And we talked about for July, our fundraiser is Spectrum. For the first 2 weeks, anybody that comes in to our clinic, we have a special rate with the $25 exam fee, and all that money gets donated back to Spectrum School to help support them as they're reorganizing. But the big thing is ultimately, while I think that's beneficial, if you're interested in it, check out the school for for yourself.
For sure.
So I feel like this is a great partnership. Thank you so much for being on today, Principal. And certainly all those watching, make sure and spread the word. Even if you don't have children of this age, it's a fantastic way to learn and to help your children, grandchildren, friends, and everybody else. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.